Hello YouTube and welcome back to Outsiders. My name's Sean Connors and today is another mailbag programme. I've got 3 letters. Thank you for sending those letters through, those people. And first off, let me just say thank you very much for the continued support of my channel. As you know, I'm a great fan of many people's sites out there, particularly when we're talking about DMing or RPGs in general. You guys know who you are. Big shout out to you all. Please check out my favourite videos and you'll see a number of these people in there. And if I haven't added you yet, I sure will in due course. Anyway, without further ado, 3 letters I'd like to go through. In no particular order. This particular gentleman, by the name of Terret, has said that basically what he's asking for is adventure hooks, like in the movies where you talk about the wagon coming towards your party uncontrollably. Have you got any inspirational suggestions how to make our players want to play a campaign? Not just because I made it and most likely not prepared for anything else, but because they feel it's the right thing to do, or the start of the campaign seems interesting in some way. How do I go about doing that? I think that's what he's really asking for. I like all these questions. Often there's a multi-part answer to this. The first thing to do is you talk about adventure hooks, starting a campaign and those sort of things. I think it's sort of 3 factors really. I have currently got a campaign running called the Blood Dragons. Whose idea was it for the Blood Dragons? Actually, it was the players. The players came to me and said, in the middle of a campaign, we're loving what we're doing at the moment, Sean, but for the future, we're thinking, wouldn't it be really cool to look, looking at some of these blood dragons, they're really interesting. What do you think? I had a look at it, and instantly I thought, yeah, wow, what a buy-in. That's the buy-in. The players have given me an idea and said, look at this. What do you think to these? So immediately, if I start working on a campaign around that, I've already got most of the group already bought in. So straight away, the campaign is a damn sight easier to pitch, isn't it? And I think that's what you're really instigating at. So obviously, the key here is talk to your players. Speak to your players about what interests them, what makes them tick. You're right in mentioning the word adventure hooks. It's 2 parts to that, really. I think number one, yes, certain key sections or main framed areas, as I call them, are very, very important to have, something that's really different, a nice twist. There could be some examples of that in a minute. And also NPCs need to be crisp. The NPCs need to be really memorable. So at the moment in the current campaign, we've just been doing, I've just put on YouTube a few snippet 10-minute parts to my session. A lot of it, as you probably can see in those snippet bits, is about planning and how much effort the players put into planning. Gives you an idea why they're so successful, doesn't it? Because of the amount of preparation and planning that goes in. Not a spectator sport, but hopefully you get something from them. But where I'm going with this is really that within that planning, one of the initial things is they interacted with the camp, and there were a number of NPCs in there. Now, one of them I developed is a lady by the name of Mama Grimm. Now, Mama Grimm is the classic old crone. I'm going to give you a snippet of Mama Grimm, and then it'll give you an idea why these sort of things are memorable. So, Mama Grimm's a little bit like this. Come over, dearie, don't be afraid. Behind her, of course, are 2 black bears who are sort of snarling and looking over the players as if they're the next meal. And then she comes out with this great memorable line, "It's all right, dearie," touching their shoulder. "Don't you worry, even bears need hugs." And you should have seen the group. Of course, they fall around laughing. But that's the whole point. A memorable NPC coming to life through the interaction. Those are really important things. But more importantly is the adventure hooks. What you need to do is have some really important set pieces. So a good example to a good set piece would be something like, one of my favourite ones I've done is where the characters are trying to rescue somebody and they have information about where they're being held, and by the time they get there, just as they arrive and they're just getting a view for the scene, they suddenly see this very same person some distance away being taken out under armed guard towards an object they've never seen before. And that object is effectively a balloon with a basket, with a large balloon, big basket, tie ropes hanging down. Suddenly the ropes are cut. The ropes take a bit of time to twirl off they get cut from the base. The balloon begins to rise. The twirl ropes begin to slowly come off the ground, and this gives the players the opportunity to either rush forward, jump onto the ropes, and begin climbing out to save this person, or not. And it's been very memorable every time I've run it. But that just gives you an idea. That's what you've really got to do. So in answer to your question, as a recap, get the players buy-in to give you the campaign idea. That'll buy everybody in. Think about set-piece encounters and think about your NPCs. So hopefully that answers your question, Deterra. Next question is a good one. It says, how much detail do you use in the game? This is from Michael or Latres0420. how much realism in respect to cumbrance, time, etc. Do I go too far to capture realism, or is it annoying and Is it an annoying hindrance? What's the fine line? Very simply for you, Michael. For me personally, yeah, I tend to not be too worried about encumbrance. I would only use it if I feel somebody's taking pardon the pun, the Michael. I think if somebody was being unfair to me, I would look at it and say, look, hang on a minute, you're clearly over encumbered, you need to think about this. But most players, good players, as I say, good golfers, they call their own fouls, tell them to think about what they're carrying within reason. A few pound either way you will live with, but don't bog the game down into this sort of nuance. This is a grey area. It's up to you, but I personally wouldn't bother with it. As for time, I'm not worried about minutes and hours. I'm more interested in the calendar, as you've probably seen from my other campaign builder programs. That's far more important. Obviously, if you're running an encounter, initiative is important, and time becomes critical at that point. But as for the rest, it's not really that important. You know, make a judgment call. The characters want to rest in a town overnight. Okay, 8 hours go by. If one of them wants to go off and do something, just make a judgment call how much time is used up in that evening. Those are the keys, really, to be honest with you. Fine line. If it's going to be too much detail, you know, you can always tell if you're starting to actually suddenly, if it's becoming too mathematical, you're writing so much stuff down. It's so, you know, you've got this amount of weight, you've got that amount of weight. This is that. This is the exact minute we are, guys. It's too much. It's not healthy for the game. Just find the middle ground balance, and everything will fall into place. But it's a very, very apt question. So thank you, Michael. And finally, I've just started to notice. This is from a guy called Derek or Lycan101. I've started to notice that during my sessions there are one or two people that after about an hour or two of play begin to break character and do things that break up the flow of the game. For instance, in my last session the PCs were planning a rescue mission in a small town. They were discussing ideas about the rescue when one of the PCs asked me if he can leave the group and go and get some ice cream and pizza in the middle of their planning. I don't know why he asked such a bizarre question in the middle of this. I told him no, he couldn't. To which he spent the next 5 minutes sulking. I don't mind that he was upset, but the question threw the other PCs off their train of thought and completely ruined a very good role-playing moment and took everyone out of the gaming experience. How can I keep random things like this from happening? Should I co-engage him more in the game and let him get the ice cream and pizza? Or is there something wrong with my DMing and the story that is causing this guy to want to do random things? Great question, Derek. Thank you very much. Don't worry, mate. Players, they will do pretty crazy things. Look, the first thing is this player's being rude. Okay, the guys are planning. Planning is everything. Planning is just as important as encounters. He has to be involved in that, and if he doesn't enjoy it, then have the decency to sit there and listen while the others plan. If you think you can, and I would suggest you try and do this, is try to have a point in the game. If you see or notice, it's one of the roles you have as a DM, if you start to notice people are starting to flag, get a cup of tea, get them all to have a break. But try to keep them talking to you. Say, go get a break, guys, have something to eat, but keep talking about what you're about to plan for, or keep talking about this, and keep discussing. When you come back to the table, you're ready to give me your ideas. That still gives them the opportunity to stretch their legs, have a bite to eat, but it keeps them all involved. Particularly with somebody like this, that's etiquette, really. You don't just leave the table. And don't worry, Michael, it's not your DMing, yeah, it's their play in this case. But your only role to it is take the person aside, preferably then, rather than, you know, by refusing him to go from the table, he solves, which then had an impact on your game. I understand where you're coming from, we've all done it. But what I would have done, to be honest with you, is I would have said to him, listen, pull him aside, not in front of the other players, and said, if you go now, you're breaking the flow of the game. You need to be involved because they need your ideas. Yeah, they need your thoughts. Now, if you could, the ideal thing, if he's really that desperate, as I say, I personally, if I could see someone was flagging, I'd have said, guys, take a 5-minute break. Everybody go and get something to eat. Keep discussing it as a group. I want everybody's input. When you're ready, come back to the table. But you know, if it couldn't be done, take the guy to the side and just tell him why he can't leave the table politely, and say, look, you're breaking everybody else's flow. It's not polite. It's not fair, is it? You know, we can't make an exception. One guy's salt interrupted the entire game. It's pretty babyish, isn't it? Really, to be honest. So that's what I would do. I hope that makes sense to you. Thank you very much for your questions and replies. Keep gaming. Till the next time of Outsiders. See you then. Thank you. Oh, one final thing. If my videos of the live sessions are of any use, please let me know. I'm getting some feedback on them. It seems fairly positive, but could I please have more feedback so I know if it's working? I appreciate that watching roleplay videos like that can seem like paint dry, but my guys are plan, and it can sometimes that can be key. Anyway, take care of yourselves. Until the next time, all the best.